Welcome everyone, it's Miss Gisa, and happy Hanukkah to those of you celebrating the first day of Hanukkah. Our story today is called Latkes Good to Eat. It's written by Naomi Howland, and it is a Hanukkah story. Once, on the outskirts of a tiny village, a girl named Sadie lived with her 4 little brothers, Herschel, Hillel, Haim, and the baby, Max. Their mama lived there too, but she was away helping out Rose with her new baby. The family was so poor that the 1 coin in Sadie's purse never had another coin to keep it company. Their house was so drafty, the wind whistled through it like a train going to Moscow, and they were always hungry. This year, the first night of Hanukkah was the coldest night yet, and the snow was deep. Sadie said, "Boys, go out and gather some firewood." "It's too cold outside," Herschel said. "You go." He pushed Hillel to the door. "It's too dark outside," Hillel complained. "You go." He pulled Haim to the door. "But wood is so heavy," Haim whined. "You go." He pointed to Herschel. Sadie sighed. "I will get the wood. Watch the baby until I return." Sadie's boots sank into the new snow. She walked from tree to tree to pick up the fallen branches. An hour passed. It got colder and darker, and a bitter wind began to blow. At last, Sadie packed up the wood and turned to go home. Suddenly, a twig snapped. Sadie whirled around to see a bent old woman standing before her. The woman's face was creased and lined as a bit of wrinkled cloth. The old woman sneezed. "Hachoo!" "Bless you, Tante," Sadie said. She noticed the old woman's shoulders trembling. Her coat was shabby and thin. "Are you cold?" "Oh, I am, dear," said the old woman, shivering, "and I have no more firewood." She blew on her hands to warm them. Sadie didn't hesitate. "Please take this wood for your fire," she said. She piled all the wood she had gathered into the old woman's sack. "Thank you," said the old woman. "You are a kind child. Now I have a gift for you." She unhooked a frying pan from her belt. "When you are hungry tonight, put this pan on the stove and say these words. Latkes good to eat. Cook me up a Hanukkah treat. When you are not hungry anymore, say, a great miracle has happened here." "Thank you, Tante," Sadie said. "Never forget the words I have taught you," warned the old woman. "Keep them a secret. Only you may use my gift." With that, she hobbled off into the forest. Sadie ran home. "Quickly, boys, let's light the menorah," she said. "I have a surprise." As soon as they had said the blessing and lit the first candles, Herschel asked, "What's the surprise?" "And where is our wood?" asked Hillel. "I met an old woman in the forest," Sadie explained. "I gave her the wood because she was so cold, and she gave me this frying pan." "What? A frying pan?" cried Herschel. "We don't even have a fire." "We don't have any food," Haim complained. "Just watch," said Sadie. She put the pan on the cold stove and whispered the old woman's words. Latkes good to eat. Cook me up a Hanukkah treat." At that moment, a fire danced up under the frying pan. Right away, 5 golden latkes sizzled in oil. The 4 little boys crowded around the stove. "How did you do that?" asked Herschel. "The old woman told me not to tell," answered Sadie. As soon as she put the latkes on their plates, another 5 latkes sputtered in the pan. "Can I try?" asked Hillel. "No, let me," Haim pushed his brothers aside. "No," said Sadie, "only I can use the frying pan." When the plates were heaped high with latkes, Sadie whispered, "A great miracle has happened here." And the magic frying pan stopped cooking just like that. They ate and ate until their stomachs were full. The next night, after Sadie and her brothers lit their menorah, Sadie set the frying pan on the stove. In a hushed voice, she repeated the words, Latkes good to eat. Cook me up a Hanukkah treat." Immediately, a fire glowed under the pan where 5 delicious latkes were sizzling. When the plates were heaped high, Sadie said softly, "A great miracle has happened here." The frying pan stopped cooking just like that. Each night of Hanukkah, the children sat down to another tasty dinner of potato pancakes. Then, the afternoon of the 8th night, Sadie put on her shawl. "I am going to find the old woman and invite her to eat latkes with us tonight," she said. "I will cook them when I get back. Take care of the baby and be good, boys, and don't touch the frying pan." All together, the brothers nodded their heads and solemnly said, "We promise." Only a minute after Sadie had closed the door, Herschel boasted, "I heard the secret words." "You did not," said Hillel, "and we aren't supposed to touch the frying pan." "I did too," said Herschel. "We could eat just a few latkes," said Haim. "Sadie won't know." Max, the baby, said, "Latkes, latkes." The boys looked at Herschel. Herschel looked at the pan. "It's easy to use the frying pan," he said. "Just watch." He put the frying pan on the stove and said, "Latkes, latkes, good to eat. Cook me up a Hanukkah treat." The stove lit itself with a bright flame. At once the frying pan was filled with 5 latkes, sputtering in oil. When the latkes were hot and golden, Herschel said, "Great! Here a miracle happened." The frying pan began cooking 5 more latkes with tender insides and crispy, lacy edges. "We have enough, brother," said Hillel, but the frying pan kept on cooking. The little boys piled their plates high with latkes. "Here great miracles happen," tried Herschel. The frying pan cooked up 5 more luscious, brown-flecked latkes. The 4 brothers ate fast, but the frying pan cooked faster. Soon they had filled every dish, all the mixing bowls, and the wash tub with steaming hot latkes. Haim cried, "Stop, frying pan!" But the frying pan cooked up 5 more latkes, salty and scrumptious. "Happy green miracles here," Max yelled. But the pan kept cooking. The boys hid latkes in the cupboards and under the bed. They fed latkes to the cats. Soon latkes were spilling out the door. The smell of potatoes and onions and oil floated through the village. The shoemaker stopped cobbling to sniff. The fishmonger, holding a fresh carp, paused to breathe in the fragrance. The village gossip even stopped talking long enough to inhale the aroma of Hanukkah cooking. Meanwhile, Sadie had walked deep into the blue-shadowed forest. "Tante, Tante," she called over and over, but there was no answer. Where could the old woman be? Soon the sun would go down and Sadie needed to be home by dark to light the menorah. Now she wasn't sure she even knew the way home. Bony branches scratched the sky. Sadie shivered. "Tante," she called again. The wind whistled through the dark trees. It carried a tantalizing aroma. There was a rustle of dry leaves and the old woman appeared. Before Sadie could say a word, the old woman held her hand for silence and sniffed the air. Sadie, too, breathed deeply. Potatoes, onions, oil. "Latkes! Oh no!" she cried. Following her nose, she began to run with the old woman close behind. When Sadie reached the edge of the village, she could not believe her eyes. Her house had almost disappeared under a mountain of latkes. She scrambled up a pile of warm latkes and looked in the window. Her brothers were standing at the stove eating latkes as fast as they could. More latkes sizzling in the frying pan. "A great miracle happened here," Sadie shouted, and the frying pan stopped cooking, just like that. Herschel, Hillel, Haim, and the baby Max promised, "We will never touch the frying pan again." Sadie put them all to bed with tummy aches. "But what will we do with all these latkes?" she wondered. "I could carry them away," said the village porter. "I could sweep them up," said the broom seller. "We could eat them," said someone else. It was Mama, home from helping Aunt Rose. "We'll have a Hanukkah feast," said Sadie. "Everyone is invited." What a party the village had that night. There was singing and dancing and dreidel playing, and of course there were latkes, golden, tongue-burning hot, tender yet crisp, lacy, luscious, brown-flecked, salty, scrumptious latkes to eat. And no one in the tiny village was ever hungry on Hanukkah again. At the end of the story, there is a recipe for Sadie's latkes. And there is a note from the author that I'm going to read to you. Hanukkah, the Jewish festival of lights, commemorates the fight for religious freedom by a small band of Jews in 165 BC. After their victory, the Jews went to rekindle the eternal light in their temple. There was only enough oil to burn for one day. Miraculously, it burned for 8 days, enough time for the Jews to make more oil and keep the eternal light burning. Jews light candles in a menorah for 8 nights as a reminder of those events. Foods cooked in oil, such as latkes and jelly donuts, also remind people of the miracle of Hanukkah. During Hanukkah, games are played with a dreidel, a top with Hebrew letters written on its 4 sides. Tante means aunt in Yiddish. Sadie uses the word as a term of respect for the lady she meets in the forest. Gosh, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling hungry after reading that story. I want some latkes. Are you ready to make a latke craft? Let's go. All right, are you ready to do a latke craft? What you'll need is a paper plate, some tin foil, a piece of white blank paper, colored pencils. I'm choosing to use brown and yellow to color my latkes, a little bit of cardboard, and a string and some tape. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your tin foil and just put it on top of the plate. We're going to make the little frying pan for our latkes. All right, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to tape the handle to your pan. And you'll want to roll up the tape as well and stick another piece or 2 right underneath. I'm going to actually put 2. All right, now we'll draw our latkes. Remember, they're potato pancakes, so they're generally roundish, and you can make a few of them. Oh, I forgot, you'll also need some scissors. Then I'm going to actually take 2 pencils and kind of color them in at the same time. That might be fun. Let's see what that looks like. Then I'll use my scissors to cut them out. Remember, when you're using your scissors, you're pointing the scissors away from you. You're keeping your thumb up, and you're going to cut around your potato pancakes, your latkes. And you can make as many as you want, as many as will fit on your plate. If you use a bigger plate, you'll be able to fit more. If you use a smaller plate, not so many. And then, if you want, you can tape 1 or 2 of them down onto your pan. And then with one of them, you can put a little bit of tape to hold the string on the back. And then you don't want your string to be too long, but just long enough. Then you can tape the string onto the pan. Then you can cook your latke and try to get the latke onto your dish. Yay! Have fun making your pan with latkes in it, and happy Hanukkah. Remember, if you liked this read aloud and activity, to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to see more episodes in the future.